What's going on, everybody? Josh Morris here with the Everything Paranormal Show. And joining me tonight, we have a very special guest, Robert Righi. Did I pronounce that right? Did I get it right?
Righi.
I did the
It's
eye.
okay.
I did the long eye.
Don't worry about it. It's cool. You're cool. Don't worry about it. Thank you, Josh, for having me on. Thank you so very much. At this moment, I must say it is 6:01 p.m. in Pacifica, California, where I'm at. I'm in Pacifica right now, which
Nice.
is 20 miles southwest of San Francisco. The ocean is right there. It is
Nice.
within 2-3 minutes for me. And the high during the summertime is 76, and the low during the wintertime is 50. It's perfect. Perfect
Nice.
weather. It is perfect. It is.
No,
But
that sounds like a great range of temperatures too. Because I mean, here we do get some snow. We're in the northeast Tennessee area. We get a little bit of snow, but it's not too bad. It's still tolerable. But your temperature range sounds even better. So
I will only be here for 3 more days, and I'm going to go back to New Mexico, the Taos area, in which
Nice.
I love that. We talk about that also, but anyhow, thank you so very much for having me on. I appreciate that. I really, really do.
Yes.
There are many things I do within the paranormal field. A lot of things, but you know what? Being in the paranormal field isn't my entire life. I have a life, I have a life also out of the paranormal field.
Right.
I really, really. And so I love traveling to different places, experiencing many, many things. And I like to have fun. I'll be 67 in November, and I love to have fun. I really love to have fun. I do.
Well, I think life's too short. You have to. You got to have some fun.
Oh, amen. And thank God this is my last life here on earth. I have lived several lives previously. I learned a lesson in life, and I don't have to come back, thank God. Oh, my God. I'm an old tired soul, for God's sake. I'm ready just to pass on, go over the rainbow, whatever it is, whatever. And I always tell people that on my tombstone, it's going to say, I have now begun the greatest journey of my life. And it is.
Yeah.
It is going to be phenomenal.
Well, I can't wait to get to know more, get to know you more. And I know that the folks out there in chat starting to already join in. We got Tata Longo, aka Stacy, and I See You See Me. It's good to see you guys popping in already. Hopefully we'll get some of our other regulars chatting up here in a little bit. But folks, if you guys have some questions as we go, as usual, you're always welcome to participate. So, Robert, for the folks that don't know much about you, how would you describe yourself to somebody? Like how would you describe what you do on a regular basis to strangers?
I am here to help anyone who is in need. I don't know a stranger. I don't. I have the gift of gab. I'm Italian and Spanish. Besides, I'm gay, and I use my hands when I talk. And so I love talking with people. I love interacting with people. I love helping people, assisting people. That's why I'm out here in California now. I'm volunteering at a home for the destitute and dying, and that's what I'm doing out here this very moment. But besides enjoying the beautiful beach, which is only 2 or 3 minutes away from me, it's just a wonderful. So I do a lot of volunteer work. So if people, a lot of times when I go out and about, I have to turn off my abilities because there's so many damn psychic vampires out there that just want to drain you dry. Really, they do. Oh my God. Right. I don't go to Walmart. I mean, God bless people if they work at Walmart or Costco or any of those places. God bless them. But I don't go there. Oh, the psychic vampires are horrible. They are. Anyway.
Yes, I've heard about energy leeches, and I know when I've talked to some other like psychics before, and they had mentioned the same thing like you. So I guess that's definitely something among psychics that So what happens when you get around other psychics?
Well, do you know what I do when I go out and about? I turn off my abilities. I have learned. I'll be 67 in November. My first experience is when I was 4 years old. I have learned how to turn it on and off. You open the book, spirit world, and then you close the book. Open it and close it. When I go to Walmart, Costco, Target, you name it, any box store like that, I turn it off. But there are times, though, Josh, and my paranormal brothers and sisters, that I don't care how much I turn it off and close that damn book. If the other spirit, if I'm supposed to say something to them, it will be overwhelming then, and then
Right.
I'll go up to them. I'll go up to them. Sometimes sometimes they thank me. Other times they call me a devil worshiper, which I'm not per se, But I have a
Right.
lot of, and but I'm very respectful. I'm very respectful, because I believe that we're all brothers and sisters in this universe. We are. We're here to
Right.
help each other. We're here to assist each other, you know. And to me, every day I want to learn something from someone. Like tonight, I want to learn something from you. Tonight, I want to learn something from the people who come into the chat rooms and such. Okay. And so we're
Yeah.
never too old to learn.
Oh
Never,
yeah.
never. You know,
Absolutely.
never, you know?
Absolutely. Now I do know that you have a master's degree in what, forensic psychology and social work
Yeah.
from the University of Florida.
Yeah, I'm a Gator. I'm not a Seminole or anything like that, or I'm not a volunteer from Tennessee, and nothing of that matter at all. I'm a Gator. Yes, I am. But I was born and raised in Peoria, Illinois, which makes me an Illini at, University of Illinois in Champaign. But I was born and raised in Peoria. And my first experience, if you want me to start doing, go into that, was when I was 4 years old.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
Tell us about your first experience. Where did it start?
okay, it was in Peoria, Illinois. I was 4 years old. I was born in 54, and I'll be 67 in November. So I'm probably older than a lot of our friends who are listening to tonight. So if I start rambling, it's because I probably have the onset of Alzheimer's. I don't know. But anyhow, I love to talk. I love to engage people. I really, really do. Part of it is because I'm Italian and Spanish. But anyhow, my first experience is when I was 4 years old. I woke up at that hour. Guess what hour I woke up at? Just think of an hour at night.
3 o'clock.
Oh, give him a cigar. Give the man a cigar. You're right. You're right. Yes, you're correct, Josh. And it was at 3 o'clock. I had fallen asleep on the Davenport. I don't think they even use that word anymore. A sofa now, I think they call them sofas or couches or whatever. But when I
Right.
was growing up, it was called a Davenport. Anyhow, I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. I was 4 years old, and I had to go to the bathroom. And who did I see? Who do you think I saw? I live in Illinois. Guess who I saw?
Who?
Abraham Lincoln.
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
I almost was gonna say that, but I was just like, I don't. But yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
I saw Abraham Lincoln. He was smiling at me. And here I was 4 years old. I was ready to pee in my pants, for God's sake. Anyhow, it kind of scared me. So I ran in and I did my business. And then I knocked on my mama's door. My father worked the night shift at Caterpillar. And so my mama was in her room. I knocked on the door and she goes, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I said, "I just saw Abraham Lincoln." And she laughed.
Right.
Laughed.
Like,
And she
yeah,
goes,
4-year-old.
yeah. And, and she laughed and, I thought that was okay. And, she said, "Well, just crawl into bed here. Just come into bed with me and everything." And so I did. And I fell back to sleep, so that was it for that. But that morning, though, because my mom was born in Spain, my father was born in Italy. So there's, they have this like kind of a spiritual thing going on anyhow, and besides being Roman Catholic, but being Roman Catholic doesn't define who I am. And I don't convert anyone to Catholicism or anything. I
Right.
don't care what spirituality is. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But for me personally, anyhow, so the next morning, my mom asked me about it again, and I said, "Well, yeah, Abraham Lincoln." I was 4 years old, so I wasn't that articulate, in talking and speaking and such. But anyhow, so then my mom called my Italian grandmother. We called her Nona in Italian. And so she took me over to see my Italian Nona. And then my Italian Nona took us to this old Italian woman. If she was 100 years old, she was 1,000 years old. She was old, gray, wrinkly, and she kind of scared me. But when I went in there, she put her hand on my head, and I could feel her energy entering my entire body. It felt like electricity going through my entire head, down to my little feet. And she could feel my energy also. And she told my Italian nonna, in Italian, of course, that I was gifted, that I was special, that I had these gifts and everything, and that they needed to find somebody who could help me understand them. But again, my brothers and sisters who are listening to this, I was born in 1954. Okay. Okay. And so when she took me when I was 4 years old to see this white witch, people had to be very, very careful culturally because it was taboo. It
Oh
was
yeah,
taboo, very much
especially
so.
then.
Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, especially then. I mean, because it's. I mean, it still sometimes is, but really only in the last maybe 10, 15 years has it been a little more socially acceptable. Yeah. Anyways, go
Right.
ahead.
And it's so true. Like during the 20s and 30s, they had parlor games, as they called them. They had tipping tables, they had seances. And during that time, it was culturally accepted. It was for the
Well, that
rich
was their
people.
Saturday nights. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. There's nothing else. You couldn't march Johnny Carson, for God's sakes. It wasn't even born yet. But anyhow, it was okay. So things kind of like cycle in our culture. You have it
Right.
for a while, then it's taboo, and then it's good, and then it goes bad. You know what I mean? But anyhow, so I had to be very, very careful in how I spoke about that, right? And that was difficult. It really, really difficult because Josh and everyone who's listening, I could I had spirits around me all the time. I had spirits constantly around me when I went to Catholic school. There were, besides the nuns, they were spooky as hell. But anyhow, the the spirits through the windows coming into the classroom, and it was really hard for me in grade school because I didn't know how to turn it on and off. There was no one to mentor me, not at all.
Right.
So I had to keep it close to the vest, as they said. And then, but my powers just got my abilities, gifts, talents, whatever you want to call them. It just got stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, being Italian and Spanish, we spent a lot of time in the cemetery. We spent hours in cemeteries at least once a month. It was like going home. It was like I've never tipped cows before, but I think that would be wonderful. I do. No, but we would go to the cemeteries, and when I went there, it was very calming to me. It was like going home. It was like that. All my cousins, I have 72 first cousins. I come from a
Wow.
large family, and they marched off. My parents, my mom, I mean, my father and his family had 14 brothers and sisters. They marched all the way from Italy to France. They were poor as heck. And my mom, her family walked from Spain to France to catch a boat. Anyhow, so we went to the cemetery a lot, at least once a month. We put flowers on there and everything, and there was old ribbons. Oh, I remember my great aunts that they would look into the dump and they would get all sorts of ribbons and stuff like that and put in their kids' hair. But
Right.
anyhow, going to the cemetery, it was just like going home. I've never been scared in a cemetery in my life. And also with the Italian and Spanish culture, when somebody dies, we go to their funeral. I don't care if
Right.
I don't care if you're 6 months old. You go to the funeral. So I was used to going where a lot of my friends in school, their parents kept them away from the funeral home. Oh,
Right.
they can't and everything. I could. It never bothered me a bit. Nothing. And but anyhow, but learning how to turn it on and off, it took me a long, long time to do that. Okay? It took me a long time. And how I learned was by hit and miss, because I tried a lot of other things like closing the door, opening the door. But what I did was because I love to read. I love to read. So I thought to myself, okay, now I was in eighth grade when this happened. I thought, you know what? You open the book because you want to read. You want to learn something, right? And you're open to that. Well, and then what do we do when we're done or retired or whatever? We close it. I thought, my God, I can do that with the spirit world.
Right.
So I'm a very visual person. So I would open a book, say, okay, spirits, I'm open. This is the time now because when I close this damn thing, it's closed, you know.
Right.
But anyhow, so that's how I learned how to turn it on and off. And that's how I'm teaching these children, and which I will call children of the paranormal. We can go into that later. Okay, so my powers are getting, my abilities are getting stronger. The psychic part of me, Josh, and everyone. Or do you have a question? It looks like you're ready to.
I know that Hope said, "Do you do private readings?" Here, let me go back. Put this on here. Do you do private readings or answer personal questions?
Yes, I do. Now, when I do like over like a podcast, and you're frozen right now, Josh. You're frozen in time.
Yeah, the internet might come at you. Who knows?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Anyhow, when I do a private reading, like over a podcast like this, I'm very general because it's very confidential, and confidentiality is very, very important in my life. Being a psychologist, having that confidentiality is number one. Okay, I do. And I'll give my telephone number out at the end of the show. I do that all the time. I get hundreds of calls, whatever. Have any questions, want to reach out to me, I'll give you my number, okay? And we can do a reading then. Okay? So
that's good. So Hope, did you catch that? Hopefully. You definitely want to make sure to reach out, and that way he can, and I agree. I think it should be confidential. I mean, because sometimes people will try to do readings over the internet in front of people, but you just don't know what's going to come through, and it's probably best you just keep it private. Because
it is very much so. And let me tell you, Josh, and all my paranormal brothers and sisters, I do not charge at all. My gifts and talents come from God. I do not charge anyone a dime. If they want to send me something, fine. Usually I say a prayer for me. Okay?
Right.
And I can't read this, so can you read it for me?
It says, Robert, were you active back when the satanic panic was all the rage?
You'll have to tell me what that is. Because what I think what you're talking about is probably in the 80s. Is that correct?
That's what I would speculate. I mean, if Stacy wants to clarify a time frame, but yeah, I would suspect he's probably talking about back when, I think, because you had a lot of the satanic style killers, serial killers, in the 70s, I think we had, and then like the 80s, a lot of people were panicked too. They had the different serial killers and stuff, but then the rock music, the heavy metal, there was just that whole satanic. Everything was blamed on the satanic cults and
right. And also during that time in South Florida, I was a criminal profiler there, and there was a lot of folks into Santeria. Santeria, what that is, okay? And a lot of people were being ritually murdered during the ritual in Santeria. We can talk about that later too. But anyhow, so I learned how to turn off my gifts and talents. And then high school came and went, had a good time, got high, because back then smoking pot was like the thing to do. And I come from the state of Illinois where it's legal now, and I don't even do it. Hell, it's legal now. I don't even do it now.
Right.
And I may take a gummy bear now or then if I can't go to sleep, and I sleep like a baby. But anyhow, so high school, I decided that I wanted to go out of state for school. So I talked to my mother, and I said to my parents, I want to go to the University of Florida. Haven't been to Gainesville? No, I haven't even been to Florida prior to that, right? So I tell my parents, I talked to my mom and dad, and I said, I want to go to the University of Florida. I've never been there. I'm going to go to a part of the country that I am not accustomed to at all. And I want to go there. I said, their accents are pretty cool. There's rednecks down there. He goes, and there's hillbillies. I said, hell, you have hillbillies in Illinois, for God's sakes. They're everywhere. But anyhow, and so my parents wanted to send me to the Cordon Bleu in Chicago. They wanted me to be a chef. I'd love to cook. Being Italian and Spanish, oh my God, I'd love to cook. I do. I'd love to. And I said, no, I want to be a social worker and a forensic psychologist. And my father goes, what the hell is a forensic psychologist?
Right.
I said, Pop, so I graduated in 73, right? I said, Pop, I said, right now technology is a thing. everything is changing so rapidly culturally in our society. Medical technologies, those types of things are, they're just going off. I didn't use the word change, but back now I would say that. Anyhow, he goes, well, you can go there. We'll pay for 2 years and we'll give you that time to acclimate to this forensic stuff, whatever that is. He still can never understand it. And to be a clinical social worker. We'll pay for 2 years. And during that time, if you get B's, not A's, but if you get B's and C's, we'll pay for the other 2 years plus another couple years for undergraduate and stuff like that. I thought, oh, what a deal. What a hot deal that is. It's better than the blue light split special at Kmart. It was a wonderful deal. So anyhow, I went to Florida, and culturally, it was a shock to me. Their accents. You know what? I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to try that accent at all because I can't.
Well, that's my wife. When I met her, and I lived down in the Panhandle of Florida, they call it Southern Alabama.
It is. Oh my God, yeah. Oh, I mean, they eat grits and greens and everything, for God's sake.
And the more mad that my wife gets, the stronger the accent. Trust me. So,
when you can't hear, if you go and understand, you better leave the house for the night. So, but anyhow, but culturally, it was different for me, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want to go to school in Illinois. Hell, we all talk the same, for God's sake. But anyhow, I just want to just go someplace different, and I'm glad that I did. I got to experience so much. And I'm gay, right? Well, I came out of the closet when I was at the University of Florida, and thought, of all places to come out gay, those rednecks, hillbillies. I can call them hillbillies, excuse me. But I love mountain people, and I'll tell you. And I have a story about going to the Appalachian Mountains too for 6 months. But don't worry, you're not here dueling banjos from Deliverance. I don't hear any music like that. But I my brothers and sisters who are listening to this, I love to have fun at these podcasts. I really do. I have seen the best of humanity and the worst of humanity. And we need to laugh right now in this country. Okay? So I love to laugh. Okay? But anyhow, but just learning about the culture there. I never had grits before in my life. I didn't know a colored green from anything. Mustard greens. I had no idea. I never knew that people ate spaghetti, which I love spaghetti, being Italian, homemade, of course. Their spaghetti tasted like it had ketchup on it, a watered down. But they always had fried fish with it. I can never understand fried fish and spaghetti together. I never had that like that. That was unreal. But anyhow, I met a lot of really, really good people. I experienced a lot of very, very, very good things. And being forensics, it was kind of like that field that was just beginning. It was just beginning to blossom, right?
Right.
Forensics basically just being medical technology taken into the courtroom, basically that's what. And at that time, in 1980, we knew of DNA, but we did not know how to test for it. It wasn't until 81, 82, 83, and even in the early years of testing for DNA, that it was iffy. A lot of people were sentenced to prison falsely because the DNA was not good at all.
And it took really long time to process too. I remember those days when people would wait and wait to find out DNA results and stuff, and things like that. But yeah,
it'd be months and months of that. Now, during the time I was at the University of Florida, getting my master's degree in forensic psychology, and also in clinical social work, which was very important to me also, is that I had asked the department head, and the department head of the psychology department at the time knew, first of all, that I was a psychic medium. I gave him and his family readings all the time and stuff like that. And so he knew what I did. And he even tested me in some different ways. Okay, but anyhow, and so I said, this is what I would like to do. Ted Bundy. Everybody knows Good old Ted Bundy, serial killer from hell, right? Anyhow, he was only 50 miles north of Gainesville at Rayford.
Right.
And so I asked the department head, I would like to interview him. Is there any possible way, would you agree to that? And he said, Robert, you write the letter to Ted Bundy, you write the letter to the warden, you write the letter to the lawyer, and it'll go from there. 2 weeks later, I received the letter, which I have back in Illinois, from Ted Bundy, from the lawyer, from the warden, and they agreed. They agreed. And it's and I wanted to talk to Ted about not his growing up, because everybody knows about his growing up, except several things. But I wanted to know about the dark side, how he came into that, and who his mentor was. Now, I can elaborate now where we can talk about it in a different story because it's a long story.
Right.
But let me tell you, he does have a very dark side to him. And it was what he did growing up that I truly believe that he was possessed. I really do.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. And, actually, I think what we probably should do, and this would be a thought, this is just me, shooting from the hip here, but it might be an idea for you to come back on where we talk about your experience with interviewing and really dive in a little deep about Ted Bundy. That could be pretty cool just in itself, even in the title that, man that interviewed Ted Bundy or something, we could really get into some details.
Right. And
that could be pretty cool.
Okay. So we'll just leave it, but let me tell you.
We'll leave it on a cliffhanger. We'll leave it on a cliffhanger for all you watching. Keep an eye out for the future episode.
I want everyone to think about, who do you think Ted Bundy's mentor was? He never talked to him, never reached out to him, but he would read books about him. Think about that.
Yes.
Think about what Ted Bundy did, okay? And that's for another show.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll save that for another show for sure. And I'm going to take a quick moment here, folks. So for all of you watching, we're going to take a quick little mini break because what I'm about to do is I want to debut for you guys the new teaser trailer that is just now coming out. This is hitting a whole variety of advertising. So just to give you guys a little bit of heads up, as some of you know, I have a show on Paraflix, which is a streaming platform. And recently, my wife and I, we filmed a short film together and we sent it to Paraflix. And I said, hey, look, this is something that I want. I really feel like we should do more short films, little fun little scary little skits or whatever, just fun things, Halloween based. So I sent it to them and they turned it into a commercial. They loved it, and they're debuting it in all kinds of places. So here's the teaser trailer. I'll let you guys watch, and we'll go from there. So you ready? All right, guys, check it out. This is the debut of the teaser trailer. There we go. If I can add it on here. Well, hello, happy Halloween. I love your costume. Very simplistic. I love the sheet. Would you like some candy? Hello? Hello? Okay. Just gonna go back in. And there we are, folks. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, it's just a fun thing, and you guys definitely have to see the rest of it, hopefully. I know some of you have Paraflix that watch this and everything. So awesome. Let's see where we at with everybody. I'm just kind of looking over the comments. Guys, sorry if I didn't always keep up with everything. I tried not to miss any questions. Welcome though. I hope you really enjoyed the show. Again, we do this every Thursday, so I'm glad to see you're a new subscriber. I think Bob, that might be you that was on the Facebook earlier, and I don't know if he jumped over there. Rich, it's good to see you guys. My wife, of course, did pop in there earlier. Guys, normally she likes to come on the show and also talk to the guests or interact. I know lately she's been coming on, but unfortunately she was a little under the weather and was trying to get a few things done before going to bed. So she's trying to watch, but she's probably just not near the keyboard. She's probably laying down watching. So, guys, so definitely give some love to Terry Lynn as she is trying to hopefully get better. And then me Usi Juicy. I guess that's how it is. Mel Usi Juicy, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna murder some names. That's just how it is. Welcome. And of course, First Serve Tennis. That's my son's tennis channel. It's good to see you on there. Rich said spooky. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, guys, did I miss any questions? If I missed your question, get it in there again. Go ahead and type it in there because I don't want to scroll through all the comments. You guys have been chatting away. I love it. You guys are awesome, of course. So, Robert,
Okay.
so you've had a lot of experiences, obviously. So when you started getting into, so let's get into when you started getting into, because I noticed that you also said that you participated in 2 sanctioned exorcisms. Now, did you run those? Was you assisting in those?
No. These two individuals, no. These two individuals reached out to me in different ways. Just briefly, then we can do another show on that because it takes too long of what we all have to do in whatever details. Anyhow, his name's Kevin. I can tell you his first name. And how he heard about me was he lived 4 hours from me, and I was home in Illinois, and I had done a podcast on this other show, whatever. And I always give up my telephone number. And a couple that was sitting behind him at the St. Louis Cardinal baseball game, which I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan. But they were talking about me and talking about what I was talking about and stuff like such like that. Well, Kevin turned around and said, "Do you have his number?" And so they did. So I would get called, you know. And so he called me. At what time did he call me?
3.
Oh, very good. Give me a cigar. Yeah, give me a.
It's like the universal spooky time.
It is spooky time from hell. And so anyhow, so he calls me, and I must say just quickly is that the right side of me, when it tingles, it's good. On the left, it's bad. Whatever. Anyhow, he said, "Robert, I need your help." And I said, "Let me tell you something about you." And I went on to tell some details or whatever about him. And I was sensing and feeling. And what I heard coming from his mouth was garbled. It was guttural. And my room began to smell with stench. It began to smell like death. If you were around someone who was passing, that person had the odor of death, and you will never get that out of your nose. Right. Never. The stench from that sulfur and what I experienced with this young man, I knew before I even called a senior priest the following morning that Kevin was possessed because the demon came through and did something. And I want our listeners to think about what the devil, I don't want to say the devil's name because there's a bunch of names, right? And to me, that's a calling card. I really don't. Right now I'm in this poor part of California. I don't want to go to the beach tomorrow and be eaten by a shark. So I'm not going to say the demon's name. It's a calling card. So I'm not going to say, but he's nasty. He is very, very, he's one of the nasty of the nasties, okay? And also think about how I knew immediately that Kevin was possessed. Think about that question, okay? That was Kevin. Now, Vivian, a year later, her family heard me on another podcast. Vivian was born and raised, unfortunately, in a very satanic home. She was ritually molested as a child, and it continued until she was 15 years old. She had several children from her really extended family, uncles and that type of thing, right?
Right.
How Vivian became very, very psychiatrically ill. In layman's terms, that she had a split personality, 5 different personalities, 5. Okay. So, my brothers and sisters who are listening to this, think about what I needed to do along with the help of other psychiatrists. What did I have to do? So think about that. Okay, so that was Vivian. So that's for another time too. Okay.
Now, I see me asked a question. She said, "Does the demon just hop to another host after death?"
No. Oh, no, 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 no. There's a reason why everything happens. Okay. A lot of people do certain things to want or to beckon a demon to be with them, which is really screwy to me. Life is hell at best. Why in the hell would call a demon, for God's sake? Really?
Right.
No. And so what Vivian, her family, demons were around them 24/7. They lived that demon lifestyle, if that's what you want to say. You know what I mean? Here she was. First time she was raped is when she was 6 years old. And that continued until she was 15. Constant. Okay. Now Kevin is totally different, but they do have similarities. Okay. So that's for another show. But again, think about what the demon said to me that I knew immediately that Kevin was possessed.
Yeah.
And so I do other things within the paranormal field. I mentor these 15 children. Oh, Josh, you have this big smile on your face. What are you smiling about?
Well, I just always look at questions and comments as I'm, doing the host thing, right? But Hope did want to know too, because again, people love to get advice, and but Hope asked, how do you protect yourself from such things?
Okay. What I have 2 angels. A little girl named Angelina. That's another story too. It's a way of like 6 stories that we could do in the next 10 days if you want to, whenever, Josh. And I have Raphael the Archangel. But let me tell you that Raphael is very, very important to me for 2 reasons. One is because my birth name was Raphael and not Robert. Okay. And so Raphael is very, very special to me. And knowing because Raphael is really God's medicine of love to all of us. And he has helped me greatly over these years. He really, really has. Okay. So what I do is that I ask my angels to help me, to assist me. I cover myself with white light from my top of my head all the way down to my old 67-year-old body. Okay. I cover myself with white. I think of cotton balls. I think of snow, whatever is white out there. I just cover myself. Okay. I cover myself. And that protects me greatly. I also do that when I go to Walmart. Most times it helps, but sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
I don't think much can protect you from Walmart.
No. Oh no. No. And you're totally correct. But anyhow, that's how I protect myself. I protect myself with covering myself with white light. Now, I believe in interior prayer. Some people call it meditation, where I'm just quiet. Turn off the phone, cell phone, computer, whatever. And I'm just quiet.
Right.
Now, I have to shut my mouth. It's real difficult for me to do. It really is. The average man will speak 1,500 words a day. Women will speak 3,000. I speak 10,000 probably. But
I don't think I think like in certain things, I definitely go above the average, and then there's times when I'm below. So it's
Right.
weird. There's not much
Right.
in between with me. Either I'm talkative or I'm just quiet.
Right. And if I'm quiet, somebody touches my nose to see if it's warm. You know what I mean? Just like a dog. Oh my God, Robert must be sick. He's not talking. No, but anyhow.
Well,
I
Bob
do that.
Bob had a question for you. This was the other Robert I was telling you about earlier.
Right.
Bob Hahn. He's in fact he's one of the writers for Paranormal Underground magazine, who is the sponsor of the show.
Okay.
But he said, "How many clients have you had who think they are dealing with demons, but actually are just very nasty human spirits?"
I would say probably 40-60. I think 40% probably are. And a lot of them, okay, everyone has to realize that I come from a psychological aspect of this also, and the paranormal. And they work beautifully together. They really do. Okay. When I talk to anybody in the very beginning, I want them to shut. I want to keep their mouth shut. Let me talk, of course. And I will tell them what's going on with them. Okay. Most of the things that become paranormal is because of some emotional trauma. Something is going on in one of their major spheres of their lives. Okay. It could be a death, a suicide. It could be a loss of a marriage gone wrong. It could be betrayal. It could be all sorts of things, right? So
Right.
the person becomes a perfect storm. Can it be the land? Yes. Can it be the house? Yes. It can be a lot of things. But it's a perfect storm. So I didn't bring an onion tonight, Josh. I usually have an onion because when I go and talk to the family, and don't worry, it's not for Italian sauce or anything like that, or to make tamales, nothing. But anyhow, the layer has, excuse me, the onion has a lot of layers to it.
Right.
So we have to begin to do what? Peel the layers off. We peel the layers off to get to the core of the situation.
Oh yeah.
I I spend hours with families who are experiencing things, right? And my brothers and sisters who are listening to this, we have to understand and we have to validate that what they're experiencing is true because it is their experience. It's not ours.
Right.
We have to validate. I don't care if ghost hunters, ghost adventures, the Soul Brothers or whatever the brothers are called, that show, whatever they are. Anyhow, I don't care if they go in, they don't find a damn thing. That does not mean the family is not experiencing something.
Oh yeah. I mean,
All right.
absolutely. Well,
Right.
investigations are more. A true investigation is more than just one night in a home.
Oh,
You
oh,
know,
thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh. I will make you a cheesecake and send it to you because you're the first person on a podcast that I have ever heard that say that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
that's
you.
because we don't fake things here on the Everything Paranormal Show. We're real. I've been doing this long enough. I even have a book. All right, I have a book. I had to plug it. Shameless
Oh,
plug.
nothing is shameless in our country now, so don't worry about
Right.
it.
Bob says, "Do you think God allows demons to interact with humans not as punishment but as test of faith?"
I believe there is good and bad, right? There's good and bad. I've heard this before. Why does God cause kids to have cancer? It's the universe. You know what I mean? It is. Bad things happen to good people, and good things happen to bad people. It's
Right.
just the universe, okay? It's what we do within the universe, okay? A lot of these people who are just nasty personalities, they're just SOBs. They are. They're going to be SOBs on this life. Hell, they're going to be just as bad on the other side. When I hear these people say, oh, God, oh, I just know he's a good man on the other side. Bullshit. Please don't have another practical point. The truth of the matter is that if they're nasty on this side, they're going to be nasty on the other side. Do I believe in redemption? Of course I do. Of course I do. I believe that we can all be redeemed. Be redeemed spiritually, yeah. But we have to work on that redemption. Okay? We
Now,
do.
I do want to tackle something for my own personal discussion with you. and
Sure.
I want to get into a little bit about reincarnation. This is
Okay.
always a hot topic. It's something that it's really divided a lot of people in the Christian communities, because, of course, again, as you know, with Christians, it's like, hey, they they're afraid to believe in reincarnation. Then there's different takes on reincarnation. I have my own view on reincarnation that falls in line with Christian faith. See, I didn't become um, the best way I want to say this is that I don't, whenever I research and investigate paranormal over the years, I don't look at it through a biblical filter, if that makes sense. I try to keep an open mind, and then if I'm maybe reading the Bible or something, then and it tells me something, I go, well, that makes sense. Holy crap. You know what I mean? Like I don't purposely try to force everything into some biblical narrative. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that fit. It's like it is crazy. But my point is with reincarnation, this is a very divided subject. So, and I know you obviously believe in reincarnation. You mentioned it right at the beginning, and you talk about this being
But
your last ride on the merry-go-round.
I don't believe in reincarnation. We
Okay,
don't we don't come back physically. We comes back spiritually.
right.
Okay. Just just a brief history of the Christian church back in the early days. They believed in reincarnation. They believed in it. And for a century, the Christian church that you go to, I go to, we all go to,
I don't go to church.
believed. Oh,
I don't
okay. Well, anyhow.
go to, sorry,
Okay.
but
Oh, it's okay.
I don't go to church. I don't do the institutional thing with church. I did that
Right.
years
Oh,
ago,
that's
but
fine. I
right.
mean, God bless you. I mean, that's fine. You know what? Speaking about that, I had a discussion and talking about going to church on Sunday because it's one of the 10 Commandments. Listen, Jesus, did he go? Did he go to the synagogue every Friday night? No, you
No.
didn't hear about him going all the time. There were times that he went, yes, but was it Friday night? No, you saw him in the temple all the time. Anyhow, my point being to all this is I do not believe in reincarnation, but I believe that we come back spiritually, if that makes sense. Okay. The reason why is because I do past life regression, and I was regressed myself by this wonderful Jamaican psychiatrist. She filmed it, she taped it, the whole shebang, like I do, like I learned to, and that we're here on this earth to learn the lesson of life. Okay. And if we don't learn that lesson, we have to keep coming back. We keep coming back until we learn that lesson. My brothers and sisters in the paranormal field, if you listen to some music that takes you back and you feel very comfortable, or you smell something, or you eat something, and it makes you feel really, really good. Okay. I'm not talking about salmon patties, nothing like that. But I'm just talking about if something makes you feel very comfortable and it takes you there. Listen to the music, or you go to a ball game and you hear the roar of the people carrying on. You have lived somewhere else during that time. But all of us, if we don't learn the lesson of this, we will have to keep coming back. And by the grace of God, I learned my lesson in life, and when I go, that's it for me. That so I don't believe that we reincarnate physically.
Right.
Not at all.
Well,
Not
and
at
I
all.
think that's probably what I really meant was reincarnation. That's what most people feel like your soul goes back into something, another, life that you live, and then, you pass on, and that your spirit slash soul goes, to another body, and you
It
repeat.
and it
Uh,
does, and it does, and it does. And sometimes, Josh, my paranormal brothers and sisters who are watching and listening to this, that we have all met someone. When we meet them, it's like, oh my God, there's that connection right away, right?
oh
Did you
yeah,
ever
I
experience
mean,
that?
it's like that. It's a small world thing, And right, and I completely get that. You know, then with as many of the souls or spirits that's been turned around generations of generations, we're bound to have all intertwined at some point in history in the past, I'm sure.
And men could have been women back then. Women could have been, whatever. You know what I
Right.
mean? There could have been grandparents. You know what I mean? But there's a lesson in life to be learned, and if we don't learn that lesson, we keep coming back. And like I said, thank God I learned my lesson, because when that's over, when this is my last life, that's it. I'm done. I'm ready to go on the other side and eat all the spaghetti and meatballs I can handle.
So so I do like, and I understand what you're saying, and I respect that for sure. I don't know how much I can offer in my teachings at all, but I do have a different take on reincarnation. I actually do.
Okay.
So, you know, as you know, just from being involved in things, a majority of memories that people have, of course, that's why adults have to have that regression, because we really don't, we have those flashes or potential things we remember. But, children from the ages of 2 to 5 are the ones that typically will talk about these odd occurrences, these
Right.
past lives and things like that. So when you really dive into that, I tried to make sense of all this one time, and without going into like a big long, you could do an entire episode on reincarnation. But, essentially what I believe is that I believe that we are all a unique soul. And I do believe that that soul doesn't go back and get reincarnated. It does. I believe that our spirit body is what we inherit. So if most people, there's a lot of people that believe that there's that 3-part system. You have your physical body, your spirit body, and your soul. Your spirit body and your soul are meshed together. The only thing that can separate your spirit body and your soul is God. That's what we know, right? According to the Bible, things like that. God separates the spirit from the soul, and that's also part of that judgment process. Once you're judged and your soul goes to heaven, then God fits you with a new heavenly spirit body, right? That's what we know. Those are the things that's told to us. So my thing was, there's a possibility that that earthbound spirit body, that housing, if you will, is reused, recycled, if you will, to for the new souls. Okay, so these older spirit bodies that have imprints of past memories, lives, morals, ethics, things like that, can mesh with the new soul, and that's why these children have memories and things. But the child still has that unique soul, that unique individual personality that we all are. We are all that unique individual, that unique creation. But what gives us that familiarity and is that old jacket that keeps getting put on of a variety of spirit housings, spirit bodies from the past. So I believe in that same sort of sense that you do in that recycling of spirit bodies, except I think you're more of talking about the soul. Everything kind of goes back, and you're going through these different things. Whereas I'm looking at more of the shell, the carcass that's meshed with that. And that's just what I've kind of over the years of seeing things and researching and hearing different scriptures, and I just started thinking about it one day. I'm like, what's happening to the old earthly spirit bodies? If God is separating these spirit bodies, why couldn't He use those to house new souls? And that also keeps a shred of that common humanity to these new souls that almost learn some old world things right away. But anyways, that's just a little bit of my reincarnation theory I thought I'd throw at you.
You know what, Josh, and thank you. Let me tell you, my brothers and sisters who are listening to this, is that no one is an expert in this field. No one is. If you hear, like on TV, oh, these damn ghost stories, and ghost adventures. Oh, do you hear that bump? Please give me a break. Anyhow, it's a bunch of it's all theatric. It's all theatric. Let me tell you, I've been in over 1,000 places. Okay, the spirits don't come out like circus animals for Barnum and Bailey. You know what I mean? They just don't. Okay, so they just don't, But again,
Right.
we must bow to our brothers and sisters. Okay, I'm sorry. So go ahead, Josh. I just got on. And
No. It's I was just going back through. I try to. I don't like to miss questions. I know a lot of people make comments. And of course, we opened up we opened up the door when we talked about reincarnation. So,
let's go for it. Let's go. Let's take the ride.
So the next question was Hope, who said, "What happens to the soul once it reaches its purpose in life? Once it stops reincarnating?"
In my opinion, okay, this is my personal opinion, is that when you learn the lesson of life, you go to a wonderful, wonderful place. You don't have to wander the earth anymore. You're at peace. You're totally at peace. The most serene, the most tranquil place you can be. That's what I believe in. And when I hear somebody say they're an expert, oh, please. The paranormal field is not an absolute science. It's not. So when I see this guy on these stupid shows, which I don't watch them because I'd be an alcoholic. But anyhow, but when they say expert under his name, oh, please. No, the only thing he's an expert in is spewing all this crap,
Right.
The paranormal field is not an absolute science. It's not. You could be in a room of 500 different psychic mediums, empaths, intuitives, sensitives, or whatever you want to call it. Everyone is going to have their own opinion. They are. Okay? So when somebody says, well, that they're an expert doing something, click, turn off the TV or just watch it, but it's really for entertainment. Or if you call the psychic medium, say, well, that I'm an expert in this, tell them to go to Hades. Really? Really do, because they're a bunch of crap. Reminds me of Miss Cleo. Remember Miss Cleo on TV 1,000 years ago?
Yes.
Remember her?
Yeah,
okay.
She was always all over the TV.
She was, and she always said she was an expert knowing how to get this. Boy, and she got a lot of money from a lot of people, and then she was a sham, and that's so very, very sad. And Sylvia, oh my God, Sylvia Brown. I don't like to talk bad about the dead, but she was a pain in the keister. She was no more of a psychic medium than Bozo. You know what I mean? Sylvia Brown was a sham. She was a scam artist. And she came to her demise that this woman on Montel was going into the gutter. He drags up her from the dregs of God knows where. She comes on the show with longer than a prostitute's dream. And anyhow, and says to this woman, darling, your daughter's dead. She's dead. You'll have to accept that your daughter's dead. That was Sylvia's last nail in the coffin because her daughter wasn't dead and she was found a month later.
Right.
That was the end of Sylvia Brown. Yeah. Thank God. Ugh.
Well, and that's probably one thing that, Robert, if you ever get a chance to watch a lot of our shows in the past, if you ever get to catch up on some of my shows, we're always pretty realistic. When I say we, I mean like myself, my wife, a lot of the regulars in the chat. We, we're very realistic on things. I don't ever claim to be an expert. Do I have a lot of experiences? Absolutely. When you have a lot of experience, then you're able to sort of connect a lot of dots, and you tend to find a lot of commonality with other people that have been doing a long time. There seems to be a certain truth to certain things that somewhat, but then again, when it all comes down to it, we really don't know, no matter what. So it is funny how when they say
cutting out, Josh.
Oh yeah,
I cannot understand a word you're saying.
It's probably the internet.
Nope. Can't understand a word.
I know it's the internet.
Maybe it's Miss Cleo maybe it's Sylvia Brown that's haunting us. I don't know.
Probably.
Now you're frozen.
Terry Lynn says, looks like I'll be coming back then, still have much more to prove before getting into heaven. Uh-oh. We lost him. I wonder if it was his connection, folks. Can you guys hear me okay? Am I broadcasting good or what? I don't know am I freezing up for you guys or was it on his end? Let me know in the comments if things were freezing up. Hopefully, Robert will click on that link again and we'll get him back on the show. All right. So what we'll do, we'll take I'm gonna play for you guys. All right, so Matt, hey, by the way, welcome to the show for a little bit, Matt. I know you weren't here in the beginning, but guys, thank you for joining me. So Robert's back here.
Hi, Josh. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was Miss Cleo. I don't know. Maybe it was Sylvia Brown. Hell, I don't know. But my brothers and sisters, please, Josh is a great guy. Continue to follow him. I'm going to start following him. And this is my telephone number, 309 213 0325. 309 213 0325. And I need to give one shout out. Is that okay, Josh, or not?
Yeah, no. I mean, I always give you proper time to do all that. You can shout out, plug anything you want to do. Go ahead. It's no big deal.
Okay. Anyhow, I am involved in something called Paranormal 101 Educators. Go to their page. There's a lot of us who have been in the field for a long time, who have a lot of experiences and such. If you have questions, you can go to Paranormal 101 Educators. Also go to Midnight Paranormal Society. Mike Cardenas and the group are very, very good friends of mine. I've been on there many, many times, and I've done a lot of podcasts and everything. And I want to thank Josh for the opportunity tonight. I hope you'll let me back on. I know this hour went fast. You know what I mean?
It's okay. We just kind of go as long as we need to. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple more questions I got for you though before we end for sure. And plus, if you guys have any specific questions for Robert, I know you guys were talking. You had some generic type stuff you were mostly asking, but I think what's this here? Does the soul? Oh, well, I mean, Hope was kind of following a little bit and asking, does the soul become non-existent or it fulfills its roles in the spirit world once it's served its purpose in this life? I guess she was just trying to figure out what exactly happens to your soul when I guess it fulfills its purpose.
Right. And so the question is the soul the same thing as your spirit? Now, Josh believes that they're separate. And that's a very good hypothesis. It really, really is. Okay? So you have to think of it yourself. You know, my paranormal brothers and sisters, a lot of times we can answer our own questions if you just close your mouth and just be quiet and listen to your spirit. Your spirit, our gut, will never get us wrong. Our tongues will get us wrong. Our tongues lie. Sometimes we need to think logically instead of listening to our tongue. Sometimes our heart is so screwed up, you know what I mean? But anyhow, a lot of you folks listening, most of you, all of you, listen to the intuitive side. Everybody's intuitive. Everyone, to one degree or another, okay? And so I could say one thing, and Josh has his own opinion, and we all have our own opinion. But what is most important is what you believe. Okay?
Awesome. I like that answer. I do. And so I'm going to ask you a couple fun questions.
Sure.
I know my chat likes me to ask. One is let's say you pass away and you have to spend some time as a ghost, and we see your ghost. What are you wearing? What's your ghost outfit?
You know what? And this is a good question. It would be two things. One of them would be Bozo the Clown, or I would be Junior Samples from Hee Haw. And a lot of kids would not even understand that. You
Right,
know what
I
I mean?
know. I know.
You
There's
know?
unfortunately people miss the great hee haw and they don't get the reference. Some of these kids.
Sorry about
Um,
that, folks.
no, but that's okay. Bozo would be creepy though, because to me, I'm not a fan of clowns like a lot of people. Although
Oh, I'm not.
Bozo was great back in the day.
He was. But then what happened? John Wayne Gacy, one of the most famous clowns after Bozo.
Right.
I mean, and that's another story in itself too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is my major question. This is the one I
Okay.
definitely try to ask everybody is if you could go back in time for one day and just observe, as like say you're a ghost, and just observe what day in history would that be and why?
It would be the day that Rome fell.
Okay. That's
would
that's pretty cool. The day
Because
that Rome fell.
when the civilization of Rome crumbled and it was destroyed, yes, in the Colosseum, in Italian, and so the English translation is when the last brick falls is the end of civilization as we know it. And
Yeah.
it began to crumble right when Rome, after its heyday, right, it began to crumble. And what happened to Rome? It was sacked.
Well, you might
I
get to
would,
see a modern version soon. I'm just
yeah,
picking.
but I would like to go back to the day that Rome fell.
I
And I would go ahead.
So I was gonna say, Robert, just to let you know, the day I always like to pick is I wanted to pick a day, like a really good day in the building of the pyramids. I feel like that would answer some questions. I
Amen.
really would love to see a day in the building of the pyramids. I just feel like there's so much that goes to that, point in time.
Right.
It'd be interesting. So
Maybe I need to regress you. Maybe that was one of your past lives.
I don't
If
know.
you
I feel like honestly, and I'll be truthful. I really feel because I do try to like be calm and listen to myself sometimes, or I try to pick up on context clues. I feel like is the only feeling I can go back as far as is maybe 11th or 12th century. I don't feel like I go back any further than that. I just don't feel like there's ever been anything that's remotely reminded me or memories, dreams, anything that I can't seem to pick up that's been dated earlier than that. So I don't feel that. I don't feel like I'm that old in that sense. Now my wife,
okay,
she's had some very very old memories type things, almost like real dreams, right? And we've analyzed them and talked about them. Certain things, sandals and lined up and Middle Eastern themes, things like that. So we've I think she's an older soul than I am in that sense, in the longer term. But I feel like again 11th or 12th century, maybe. I don't know. I have to do even more research on.
But if you have this curiosity, fascination with the pyramid, why do you have that? Now, don't answer me, but just think about that. That has to stem from something that you have experienced in the past.
Well, I feel like it's extent. I feel like that's just because of all the research I was doing on the history of times when pre-flood times of early Bible stages, the days of the Nephilim and things like that. I've done a lot of research in that stuff, and I feel like there's a certain curiosity that there's some theories I have, some different things, and that's why I feel like that. I don't think I'm obsessed with pyramids or that sense to kind of like let you know on that. But I feel like that would be a crucial point that could answer other questions, if you know what I mean. So that's more of like me just trying to be a good detective type thing, and picking that day. So, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like I've had my spirit bodies. I feel like the other lives I've my spirit body's been part of. I definitely feel like I drowned in fairly recent life with a vehicle, maybe a vehicle that was like one of those 1960s. I can't even describe I can describe the vehicle in my head. I can see it, but I feel like I can picture the exact spot. Huh? What was that, Robert?
You're cutting out.
Oh yeah. I don't. It might be the internet on your side. Everybody's saying they can hear me fine, or that I'm coming through pretty good. So it's possible whatever uploads upstream you're getting on your end might be.
I see. Okay, I understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
But no, But I was just saying, like I do know that I think one of my most recent lives, I believe I drowned in a vehicle. There was like a beach and a lake, and I had was kind of hot rodding around this beach and went into the water, and it sunk pretty quick, and I was trying to get out, and I passed away. And it's pretty vivid. It's the same thing. It's not a reoccurring dream, but I've had it a couple times. That's about it. But it was very vivid, and I'm pretty sure it was a past life. But
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty open for all that stuff. I know my wife would probably like to know a lot too. She would. I think she would probably want to do. If I had to speak for her, I would say she'd probably be more interested in learning more about her past lives, because I know that is something that she talks about a lot.
Mm-hmm. I would love to regress her. I would if I came to Tennessee, but it is a process. It's just not one time. It's for me. I regress someone back slowly. I slowly regress them. Okay. Anyhow. So now Bob, you know who I am and what I do. And go ahead.
Bob had a question for you. He said, what do you think about walk-ins? Souls that take over a body while its soul is out and about.
Now, can you repeat that, because it was cutting out? Repeat that for me, Josh.
Says, what do you think about walk-ins? Souls that take over a body while its soul is out and about.
Oh, a lot of times if someone goes astroplaning, is that what you're speaking of, correct?
That's what I think he's referring to, is probably astral projection, yeah.
Astral projection, yes. And that is a possibility. It is, because your soul is really, you look down at yourself, because it's happened to me several times, and that's another thing, is that your spirit goes, but your soul stays with your physical body, right? So I found myself almost being another person. How could I be another person? Because of that spirit entered me. Do you know what I mean? I found myself in my next door neighbor's house, in their bedroom, stating to them, I have something to tell you. I have something to tell you. So both of them, Pat and AJ, got up out of bed, and they asked me to go into the kitchen, and they saw me walk out. They saw me walk out of the bedroom. When they got up, they went to the kitchen, and I wasn't there.
Right.
I wasn't there. And they swore, and they asked me the next day how I got in there, because the door was locked from the outside. You know what I mean? I said, well, I decided to go on a little journey last night. And but anyhow.
Did they accept it, or did they find that creepy?
No, they accepted it, because I had something that I needed to tell them, that I knew what was going on, and it was so prevalent in my soul, in my spirit. I wanted them to know that I know what was going on. It was just overwhelming me. It was overwhelming me, and before I knew it, I closed my eyes. I kind of like jerked. Before I knew it, I saw myself laying there. I saw myself walk through a door, my front door of my home. This is when I was in Illinois. And I saw myself walking down the road to their house. I walked right through that damn door.
Now, one thing I noticed in one thing that I noticed that my wife and I tend to go through is, like, of course, kind of like you, we somewhat pretty much close the door, and then there's times when spirits knock on that door, like, hey, I've got something I've got to tell you or pass along. And what's really weird is, like, we had, like, for example, we had a female presence that got our attention. However, once we and like, I'm not psychic or whatever, so for me, I use dowsing rods for
Oh,
communication, right?
right. Right.
So we used the dowsing rods, and we found out that she was a local. She wasn't in our neighborhood, but she was local to the area. She had passed away in a car accident, and but anyways, she really didn't want us to pass on a message or anything. All she really wanted to do was just pretty much let her know, or let us know, she was there to look over her family. She didn't even really, we asked her if she wanted us to let her family know or whatever, like to pass a message, and she was like, she said no. So does that happen a lot to you, where spirits just want to just say something to you and that's it? Like, they don't really have a mission for you. They just want to be heard.
Well, when it's open, okay, in my room, especially at night, not going to Walmart, thank God. Anyhow, at night in my room, and my room looks like a cathedral, candles everywhere, white candles everywhere, right? And I remember that, and I've said this many times, is that I will allow the spirits in, and I'll say, "Come on in," but I want you to be quiet. There's no farting, belching, making noise, no ticking, knocking, no clicking, nothing, no murmuring, nothing. All at once I heard with my ears, crap. I said, everybody out, everybody out. I want to quiet in here. I'm tired. Everybody left. And you could tell because the room changed completely.
Right.
Sometimes that the spirit, when I do have it open, that the spirits will come to me. My mediumship part of me is talking to the Zed, and they talk back, and they talk to me. That they just want to be, they want their story to be told. They have some unfinished business that they need to be told. Okay, and so I help them as much as I can.
Right.
So
But I mean, I just get some spirits that don't even seem to want that. It's like, I just get some of these spirits. It's like, you ask them, do they need help with something? Or I try to narrow it down, and they're just like, no, they just wanted to let me know they exist, basically, I guess. I don't know.
well, well, and that could be, and so that's your experience. So you have to validate that what you're experiencing is correct. One night in my room, candles lit and everything, and I was open, and all at once I heard with my audible ears, I heard, I'm lost. I'm lost. I can't find my mom and dad. Where are they? And I said, come on in here. You're safe. Then I closed the book. I did not want any other spirit to come in, but this little boy was here, right? I saw a shadow, but again, I heard with my audible ears. I can't find my mom or dad. What happened? Where are they at? I've been searching for a long time. This was like a little kid, 8 years. And I saw him, and he was wearing clothes from the early 1900s. This poor little kid, this poor little kid was searching for his mom and dad all that damn time. And so what I picked up and sensed is that they were all killed very suddenly, and he did not know he was dead, and that
Right.
happened. And so I have a rocking chair in my room, and I have stuffed animals and blankets and whatever. And I said, "You're safe in here. And tomorrow morning, I will get you to your mom and dad. You're going to see your mom and dad tomorrow morning." So I put a blanket over him, stuffed animals. I heard him snore with my ears. This little kid was fun, and it was wonderful. And it was wonderful. And the next day, we went to my Catholic church. Now he had never been into a Catholic church, and he was holding on to my hand, and it really scared him. It really, really did, because he had never seen things like that before. And so we were praying, And I said, this beautiful angel's coming, beautiful light. And I felt him squeeze my hand even more. And I said, this angel's coming, the light's getting brighter. And when he reaches you, you're going to feel this warmth of love. And this angel's going to take you to heaven. And that's where your parents are at. And I remember this like it was yesterday. And then he tugged on my shirt. And I looked down at him. I saw him psychically, and he was smiling at me. The angel was getting closer. The air was beginning, the energy, and it was changing. And then this little boy was taken by this beautiful angel to heaven to be with his parents. I never heard from this young boy ever,
Right.
know.
Well, and those are always the good stories of helping the lost spirits, and that's awesome. I personally don't ever help them cross over. That's just me. And it's not because I'm an a-hole. But I leave that stuff up to folks like yourself, because I don't have the ability to see. I mean, I probably could learn it. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't have the ability to decipher a voice. So for me, most of the time when I hear children's voices on recordings or things like that, most of the time it's a trick, and it's usually a nasty spirit trying to gain empathy from me.
Trying to mimic, yeah.
Right. With you, and if you have the ability of the sight, you can at least see whether you're being, tricked or not. So let's see. I think, what was it? Hope said, "What if when we see spirits?" This is when she was talking about astral, or when you were talking about astral projecting. But
right.
What if when we see spirits, it's just other people astral projecting?
And that could be very true, but I believe that you would know who that person was. It's just like the people knew the door that they saw me. Okay, so I think that you would know. Okay, I've only have done that maybe 2 or 3 times. It's not like I'd like to go around the world in 80 days or 80 minutes. No, thank you. And no. So it really doesn't serve me a purpose. But when something bothers me so greatly, my spirit just kind of like, well, Robert, it's time to go for a ride. So I go for the ride.
Now, Hope also wanted to know, why can't some spirits cross over?
A lot of times, that's very good. A lot of times what happens, and part of my bio that I sent Josh, at the very end, I talked about that I help a lot of people with their grieving. A lot of times people don't cross over because we keep them here earthbound because of our grieving. It's our grieving that turns into mourning that keeps keeps spirits earthbound. We do. A lot of the spirits don't want to leave because their loved one is grieving so badly for them. You know what I mean? And the spirit believes that if they go on, then that they're not doing the right thing, if that makes sense. But it is the grieving. It's all that energy, Josh, and everybody's listening to this. It is the energy of the living that is keeping these dead loved ones here.
Yeah.
And people, Josh, and everyone knows people that have grieved terribly for a loved one. Just not the first month or 2 months. It was like years and years that they have never gotten over that. So for me personally, that's what I believe. And there is a young woman, her name is Michelle from Ohio, so she may be listening to this, that it was through her grieving for her wonderful, beautiful son that had the world by the hind end, gets in a swimming accident and breaks his neck. He had an out of body experience. God said to him that you can live, but your life is going to be totally different. Or you can be judged now. And Ryan is his name. And Ryan chose life. It was difficult. It was difficult for Michelle. She was the caretaker for her son, and so was Michelle's husband. But anyhow, the gist of that situation is that she was having so much trouble letting go. It's not that we forget them, but letting go. Because in
Right.
our mind, we think, well, if we let go, that's forgetting them. And it's not. It's
Right.
not. And that's another story in itself. So Michelle knows that I talk about this quite often. So Michelle, I love you, honey. And but anyhow, I believe that we keep a lot of our loved ones, especially our friends, earthbound because of their own grieving.
Well, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just going to put this out there for some of the science people, I guess, in a way, is that there. So for some of you that talk about psychokinetic energy, right? Psychokinetic energy, PKE, it's our spiritual energy that we put out there. And I think kind of the time what you're talking about is when there's times when we can't let people go. It's almost as if our spiritual energy is literally holding on to their spirit, not letting them go into the light or to go seek the light.
Mhm.
And I don't think the light is always open. I think it's open, and then after a while they close that bridge for a while. Then you have to open it back up. But I do want to read some of the comments by Joshua Benjamin. He popped in here, and it sounds to me like he's got some views that may not be traditional as well. So I just want to read some of his statements, and so that way you can kind of maybe put your take on it. He says, so again, I'm going to read all four of his statements. He says, one, anyone skilled as a poltergeist can appear as whatever they want. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, maybe I missed. Okay, yeah, let me go back up here. Okay, he said, dead people don't have the energy to move or touch physically. Living psychic poltergeists do. Then he says, anyone skilled as a poltergeist can appear as whatever they want. He says, no one leaves when you run out of energy, you go to sleep. And he also says, grieving for someone dead makes you a prime candidate for spiritual possession. And family members of the deceased are the ones that are often possessed. So that's a lot to unpack, but so it sounds like
It is. And you know what? And that is his opinion. And that's his opinion, and God bless him. I believe in agreeing to disagree, okay? And if that's what he believes, God bless him. My belief is totally different than that. We may share some of the same common things, but the entirety of what he said, I have to agree to disagree with him, and that's okay. And
yeah,
that's okay. My God, that we need this dialogue. We need this dialogue to
right.
hear different opinions.
Well,
It
and that's
is.
why,
There's nothing wrong with that.
right. And you're right, Robert. And that's why I really wanted to just read his side. I wanted his words as well to get out there. I think because again, this is the show that people can participate in, and I like hearing different theories, different ideas on things. I think for me, when you spend just countless hours going to
I
investigations,
cannot
homes.
understand, Josh.
Huh?
I can't understand the thing.
Oh yeah, your internet may be up and down on coming into you. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna talk, and hopefully you'll be able to get it. You might have to watch the playback on it, Robert.
Okay, well now I can see you again,
Okay.
and now you're unfrozen. Now I can hear you. Okay.
All right. So what I'm gonna say is that when you spend just tons of investigations, when you're an experienced investigator, and again, everybody's going to have different experiences and opinions, but I do feel like over the years you start to gain a lot of intuition. You 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 tend to be able to walk in a situation when you're experienced, and you tend to get a better feeling of if you're being tricked, if you're dealing with a spirit, a demon, poltergeist. You tend to be able to investigate and grab those clues a lot better than maybe people that haven't always been able to go to these things. And I feel like the experience does matter when it comes to intuition, because a lot of times people say, well, how do you know if the spirit is tricking you? How do you know this or how do you know that? A lot of it is, again, because when you keep going to these places over and over, you start to learn and you get an intuition. You start gaining that. That's experience. That's training your psychic, abilities. Even if I'm not, there's different types of clairvoyancy and psychics and intuition, levels of intuition, and you're going to build that. You're going to build that experience. So I feel like, again, people have their opinions. I don't know what Joshua's experiences, how deep they go, if he's been around a lot of like dead people. When he talks about dead people versus some type of poltergeist, again, I'm not sure where that belief comes in, or what he constitutes as dead people versus skilled poltergeist, things like that. But it's interesting. I love hearing those things too.
It is, you know what, and that's good dialogue. It really is. We need more discussion like that, because there could be 20 people in the room. We're all going to have different opinions, and we all must agree to disagree. We do it respectfully. Okay.
Right. Well, and I get it. And Joshua did say that he said your understanding is limited because you really don't know what actually gifted people can do. And again, I would probably disagree. I think that's kind of uh,
Kind of hard.
it's kind of a dick move, Joshua. Really, because I think I was trying to be polite and experience or talk about your views, but and it's not so much just gifted people. I think, again, like Robert's really gifted. He's worked on things since he was 4 years old. He learned of his abilities, and I think there's a lot of us that have gifts and talents. And again, when you're out there in the field working with paranormal and working with people that are grieving, that are having these problems, you learn a lot over the years, and we share our knowledge. So I appreciate your opinions, Joshua. I really do. I hope you come on and watch the shows every week, and I'm always open for your opinions. Seriously, I mean, we all want to learn from each other. So,
Amen. Amen. And that's why we're here for. We're here to learn from each other. Everyone has their own journey. It's time to get out of the paranormal closet, as they say. Go into the light. Tell your story. Don't be scared. There are platforms like Josh's platform here. Call him or text message him that you want to talk about your story. Or Midnight Paranormal Society, very good friends of mine. Okay, like my partner, contact them. A wonderful platform, because we all can learn from each other. We all can learn. There's no expert at all.
right.
The only thing I'm an expert in is eating and making Italian food and Mexican food or Spanish food. That's all I'm an expert in. That's all. That's all.
And Robert, you'll probably have to come on one of these days. We the last Thursday of every month, I've been doing a special show called the Paranormal Council, and it's typically been made up of we have one guy who is sort of like our Pao Mayumbe. I always screw that up. He's like our witchcraft sort of guy. Really knowledgeable though. He does remote viewing, things like that. We have Bob Fountain comes on. He is his team has always done a lot of by the book investigations, technical type stuff, debunking, things like that. Real good guy. He's also metaphysical priest. We also have a Baptist minister that comes on. So it's a really unique panel. My wife has started to join us as well with her experience in the paranormal and her intuition and abilities. She's also an empath as well. So it's a really unique panel of people, and we talk about some of these interesting subjects. So one of these paranormal councils, we'll have to get you in here as well, since you also have your unique take on things also. And we like to talk about a variety of subjects. I think last time we talked about the 4 horsemen and things like that, and it's a pretty cool show.
Well, I'm available anytime, Josh. Just let me know. Okay, just let me know. Okay. And so I
Yeah.
appreciate you. I appreciate your platform so very much. And we have many more things to talk about, many more journeys and my experiences with children of the paranormal and these wonderful children who that I volunteer in this hospice. And I'm there with in the last moments of their lives and how I help them cross over and how I help their parents with the grieving.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah. And I think that's really important too,
I'm
because I really do think it's important. In fact, in my book, I actually address the two major types of death. So I view death as sort of two major types: your expected death and your unexpected death. And that's really how I divide the deaths of, you know. And as you know, when death is expected, meaning, terminal patients, things like
right.
that, people that have time to prepare, um, that's generally when you find a lot of angels, guardian angels, that type of thing, spirits surrounding those people in their last moments. And as I'm sure you know, um, like anybody that's been involved in hospice, those last moments, even sometimes a week or so out before they actually pass on, there's a lot of
Very
visitors.
much so, yeah.
And it's like they're preparing, because I don't think people grasp that concept that when you're a physical body, you can do whatever you want. You can move your fingers, you can move your mouth, you can talk, you can breathe. When you pass over and your energy, you're this energy ball, basically, you're the spirit form, movement and things are different. Okay. That's why I also believe that the light has a slight pull to it. So when you pass on, there's a natural gravity to the light. But anyways, in any case, there's that expected death, and that's that preparation. Even like yourself, you're helping some of these people to properly convert over so they make their transition correctly. When you have
And
unexpected
these are
deaths,
children. Right. And these are children that I'm talking about
right, right, and that
that
and
I'm
that
helping
and of
with.
course, children really need
And
help because
go ahead, I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
you're okay. No, I just was saying, yeah, children, I'm sure, definitely need help because they're children. They haven't lived and had the experiences that we've had throughout life, and so they need help for sure. And that's rough.
Right.
But what I was saying is that the unexpected deaths are everything else. When you don't have time to prepare, no matter how you die, if it's unexpected, then there can be states of confusion. There can be an unwillingness to go into the light. There can be a fear of judgment.
Oh,
There can be, like
right.
you said, there can be loved ones that are grieving for you so much that you physically, almost like trying to walk through mud, you can't get to the light. Um,
Right.
so
That's very true.
so
I
that's kind of
agree.
what I break down as far as like the two major types of deaths and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with something like that?
Oh, yeah, very much so. Yes, very much so. I do. And so you and I, we have certain common threads. We may think of them differently, but still there's some common threads.
Right.
And that's all of this is all about. It is. We can all learn from each other. You made me stop and think about some things. You know what I mean? I hope I made some other people think also about maybe a different point of view.
I'm sure
Okay.
you have. I'm sure.
You know. But on the other hand, we're all here to learn from each other. We are. I always, my spiritual brothers and sisters, we are spiritual beings in a physical body. The physical body is weak. It's very, very weak. Our spirit is what keeps us going. It really is. How many times have we been dog tired and you have to do something? You're
Every
thinking
day.
about, oh, where am I going to get you're thinking, where am I going to get the energy from? It's your spirit.
Yeah.
It is. So
That's
always
why
listen to
that's why I
your
die a little every day when I have to work hard.
Yeah.
I'm taking my own life force.
Right. But this has been a wonderful program. It really has. And look what time it is. My God, the time went so fast.
I know. And
so,
as we wrap up, folks, I just wanted to say that Joshua did come on here, by the way, Robert. He said he didn't mean to sound condescending. And he had some other comments, which I don't want to read all of that, Joshua. I apologize. But Robert, if you ever get a chance, you can watch the show back and go through all the comments and see all the other fun, comments and stuff. And of course, if you want to reach out to anybody, of course, and folks, Robert, if he did share his phone number, for those of you that are joining in late, just go back in. I think Hope actually typed it in the chat for you guys. So go back in there and scroll back through the chat, and you can find his phone number if you need to reach out and contact him. Robert, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been fun. We're gonna have to have you back on, and we'll definitely have to have you back on and talk about some Ted Bundy stuff.
Amen. That sounds good. But please, anybody who has a question, 309-213-0325. And remember, my brothers and sisters, love each other, forgive ourselves, so we can love someone else. Okay? Good night.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. And folks, I'm going to end with my normal tagline of seek the truth. We'll see you in the next episode.